Here we go. This was it. The NASCAR weekend I was the most excited about outside of the Daytona 500. I have been waiting to make this video for months. NASCAR raced in Ciudad de Mexico at the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez, marking the first time the Cup Series has had a points race outside of the US since 1958, and it was awesome. And in this video, I will cover both the Xfinity Series and Cup Series races that took place in Mexico's capital this last weekend. Starting with the drivers to watch, the main star of the weekend was Daniel Suarez, competing in his first ever home races. Born and raised in Monterrey, Nuevo León, and being the first ever international champion in NASCAR's three main series, he is the face of NASCAR not only in Mexico, but in just about all of Latin America. We'll talk more about him in the video, but I will say I thought he handled the pressure very well, and it turned into a weekend that he will forever remember. But this weekend in Mexico was not just the first ever home race for Suarez, as there were two other Mexican drivers who were set to compete in the Xfinity Series race. Andres Perez de Lara, the 2024 ARCA Series champion who now competes full-time in NASCAR's Truck Series, was given the opportunity to drive the number 91 car for DGM Racing in the Xfinity Series race. And of course, if you're Perez de Lara, you can't say no to the opportunity to make your Xfinity Series debut in your hometown, as the 20-year-old driver is from Ciudad de Mexico. Ruben Rovelo, another Mexico City native and champion of the NASCAR Mexico Series in 2020, also got an opportunity to compete in the Xfinity Series race in his home city. They were the three local fan favorites this weekend, with the main star being Daniel Suarez, who competed in both the Xfinity and Cup Series races. The other notable drivers were also the road course experts, which included drivers like AJ Allmendinger and New Zealand's Shane Van Gisbergen, SVG as they call him, that's his nickname, and even guys like Kyle Larson and Michael McDowell. These are the drivers that have adapted pretty well to oval racing despite growing up racing road course circuits. However, with this being the first time NASCAR has ever raced at this track, and most of the other drivers being less accustomed to road courses, and on top of that, no one has ever ran laps at this course in person until the first practice session on Friday, these drivers were the ones to watch, as the advantage was on their side. This weekend was arguably their best opportunity to get a win. But this weekend, just about every driver competing in the races was a celebrity. We saw videos of drivers like Todd Gilliland, who at races here in the States would be able to get from the media center to the garage and racetrack easily. He's a notable driver, but not one of those Cup Series champions, not really that superstar level. No disrespect to Gilliland, but in Mexico City, he needed to have security with him just to keep him moving as he made his way into the pits, as all the Mexican fans wanted to get photos, autographs, and finally meet these drivers for the first time. And this was for just about every driver. And for the three Mexican drivers, Suarez, Rovelo, and Perez de Lara, even more so. Those three, they surely had their security arranged even before traveling to Mexico. But what an incredible sight to see. NASCAR fans in Mexico unbelievably excited to finally see these drivers in person. And it shows that Suarez's success and the growing fan base among Mexican Americans has also grown the NASCAR following in Mexico. Just awesome all around. Wow. Now, onto the races themselves, starting with the Xfinity Series. The Xfinity race got off to a great start with Ty Gibbs in the number 19 Toyota leading the first lap of the race. But just a couple minutes later on lap 3, the first yellow flag of the race came out as Sam Mayer in the number 41 Haas Ford crashed into the barrier in turn 11. Meyer was able to continue, but the damage the car sustained from the crash did affect the car's handling. The car was not the same with the damage on the left side, and he was only able to finish 23rd. Carson Voppel in the number 1 car won the first stage of the race, while Sammy Smith in the number 8 car won the second stage. But for most of the first two parts of this race, it was Gibbs and Connor Zilisch in the number 88 WeatherTech Chevy, battling for position and the lead. Meanwhile, Suarez, who started in last place after crashing in qualifying and going to a secondary car, was climbing up through the field. As for the first DNF of the race, it was Christopher Bell in the 24 car who was the first driver to be eliminated and unable to continue the race due to an engine failure in the car. Not great for the Cup Series driver who was competing in the Xfinity Series race to gain more experience at this track for the main race on Sunday. Then on the following restart in the first turns, you had complete chaos unfold as the drivers tried to fight for positions. Connor Zilic and Sam Mayer collided in turn 2, causing a bit of a stack up. And then ahead of them, Ty Gibbs and Carson Kvapil collide, and this causes a big crash in turn 3. And unfortunately for the Mexico fans supporting their local drivers from Mexico, this weekend was not great for all three of the Mexican drivers in the Xfinity race, as Ruben Rovelo ended up getting caught up in this crash in the third turn. While he was able to continue the race, his car did sustain heavy front end damage, and he was only able to finish 37th position out of 39 cars. Yikers. Parker Retzlaff, driving the number 4 car, was also caught up in this chain reaction crash, and unfortunately for him, the car had too much damage to continue on in this race as well. However, when this crash in turn 3 occurred, Daniel Suarez was in third position and avoided the crash, and this opened the door for him to take the lead of the race when it was back under green flag condition. A spectacular moment to watch, as you could hear the fans from the TV broadcast on Amazon Prime just go crazy as he took the lead, and Daniel Suarez would not surrender it from that point on, and he would go on to win the Xfinity Series race, his first ever home race in any of the top 3 series, and he wins it. An incredible homecoming for Daniel Suarez, and one of the loudest crowd celebrations from the entire last lap to when he broke the piñata celebrating with the fans. Mexican sports media and the fans at the track went ape shit, and it was awesome to see. A weekend he will forever remember. As for Andres Perez de Lara, he completed all the laps and finished in 30th place in the Xfinity race. While it is a shame he was unable to finish in the top 10 in his home race, given it was his first ever Xfinity race as the young driver continues to develop for the future, I don't think it's entirely too bad of a performance from him. He completed all the laps and didn't crash the car. As for Suarez, a great win for him, his 4th Xfinity Series win, and his 7th win in NASCAR's 3 main series. It is a bummer that he didn't do as well in the Cup Series race on Sunday, driving his famous number 99 car, finishing in 19th place, but nevertheless a great home weekend for him. Now moving on to the Cup Series race on Sunday, I mentioned how Shane Van Gisbergen, a former Supercars driver turned NASCAR driver, was one of the drivers to watch, being a road course expert. He started first place in pole position and went on to win this race. Congratulations to him, his 2nd NASCAR win, and it was in pretty dominant style, I must say. Things early on did get interesting in regards to the rain and tire choices when the rain stopped and the track began to dry. This is where many drivers were all over the place in terms of track position, and this ended up negatively affecting some drivers' strategies and game plan for the race, such as Michael McDowell and Daniel Suarez, whose team also made that mistake of staying out on the track too long in the rain on the rain tires. But outside of that, SVG, Shane Van Gisbergen was completely in his element, racing on a road course, and the rain, all those factors, they all worked to his advantage, having raced in these scenarios before. It was the SVG show. That's the best way to describe it. In terms of notable drivers who did not have a good race in Mexico, Kyle Busch and Kyle Larson. On lap 7, Kyle Busch in the number 8 Chevy lost control of the car while braking into the first turn. He ends up crashing into Justin Haley in the number 7 car, as well as Kyle Larson in the number 5. AJ Allmendinger and Zane Smith were also caught up in the crash, and Chase Briscoe in the number 19 Toyota had to go off the track to avoid the crash. This crash resulted in Busch and Smith being unable to continue the race, and Kyle Larson had a heavily damaged suspension that the team spent most of the race trying to fix as best as possible. Larson was able to finish the race and somehow get the fastest lap in the race, but finished nowhere near the top of the leaderboard. As for Daniel Suarez, he ended up losing time on the track due to staying out too long on the wet weather tires. That, along with incorrect adjustment to improve the car, resulted in him finishing in 19th place. So Shane Van Gisbergen in the Cup Series is the Cup Series winner in Ciudad de Mexico. Christopher Bell had a much better finish compared to Saturday, finishing in 2nd place. And Chase Elliott, Alex Bowman, and Michael McDowell. Michael McDowell was able to bounce back after also staying out too long on the rain tires. He finished 5th. That rounds out the top 5 for the Cup Series race. Overall, a great weekend for NASCAR in their first ever race in Mexico. It may not go down as the greatest race in the history of the sport, but I definitely believe that this weekend in Mexico was a success. Mexico sports media was very excited about this. There were even people in my family who aren't NASCAR fans who were talking about how big this was for Mexican sports. In my opinion, not only should they keep this race on the schedule, but Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez also has an oval layout as well. So I would love to see them maybe try and do a back-to-back weekend where they do the road course race and then the oval the next week. That would be cool to see. Very interesting from a fan perspective. That will be all for this video. NASCAR will now go to Pocono for its next racing weekend, starting tomorrow with the Truck Series race. Andres Perez de Lara will return to the Truck Series to race on Friday, and Daniel Suarez will look to try and win on Sunday in the Cup Series. Leave a like and subscribe to support my channel if you do enjoy my NASCAR content, and I will plan to do more of it. Thanks for watching and listening. See you all in the next video.